G'day everyone, it's Justin and
Scott.
two dads again from Boom, Australia, and we're coming to you today in a 2022 Kia EV6. Okay mate, I thought that if you're an enthusiast petrol head like us,
Yes.
and with the world of EVs nearly upon us, we should try out Kia's new full electric 5-seat EV6 to see if it can be fun and family friendly.
Absolutely.
Now, just as a proviso, for everybody out there watching, we're not going to go too much into technical details about the car. There's plenty of reviews out there that talk about battery power and all that kind of stuff, EV specific stuff. So we're going to look at this car purely from how it was to live with for the week.
Exactly.
And whether it's fun and family friendly.
Absolutely.
Now, the EV6 launched in Australia in February this year, and it's the cousin to Hyundai's Ioniq 5, which we had on the channel a couple of months ago. But I think just by looking at it, the main difference between the EV6 and the Ioniq 5 is that the EV6 comes across as a bit more sporty looking than the Ioniq 5. There are three EV6 models available. There's an entry-level model called the EV6 Air, and it comes in rear-wheel drive only with a list price of $72,590. That one's got a range of about 528 k's because it's a bit more range focused.
Yes.
And it comes with smaller 19-inch wheels and a bit less equipment. At the top of the tree, there's the GT line in all-wheel drive, which puts out 239 kilowatts and 605 newton meters, and that'll do 0 to 100 in 5.2 seconds.
Fast.
It has a range of about 484 k's, and it's got a list price of $87,590. Now, the one that we're in today is the mid-range EV6 GT line in rear-wheel drive, and it has a list price of $79,590, and it's got a range of 504 k's, and it puts out 168 kilowatts and 350 newton meters, and will do 0 to 100 in about 7.3 seconds. Now, the GT line comes with 20-inch alloy wheels with 255 45/20 tyres, automatic folding door handles, heated and ventilated front seats, a smart power tailgate. It also has a 14-speaker Meridian sound system. It's got an augmented reality head-up display as well. It's got remote smart park assist, which I think you noticed on the key. I don't know, I didn't try it out, but
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to try that either. Yep.
and a 360-degree camera with 3D mode and blind spot view monitor in the dashboard. Anyway, now that you've had the EV6 this week, mate, give us your impressions. What do you think?
Yes, I've had to manage to do a little bit of city driving in this week, and also a long journey. So I've had to really got to stretch its legs, which has been great. Impressions. So I think as soon as you get into this cabin, the big wraparound dash is fantastic, a real selling point of this car. And I think what I'm loving about all the EV cars, and you touched on it in the intro, is the freedom of design for the designers seems much greater in an EV car. They can express themselves a lot more than probably traditional cars. And I don't know if that's to do with the flat floor, the fact there's no gearbox. So, we're seeing a lot more storage bins, a lot more space, a lot more sort of a bit out there design, whether it go the luxury side or the more sporty side. There's definitely a lot more expression in these cars, and I think this one's a good example of that. There's some really funky stuff inside the cabin. Yeah.
Okay, mate. What were your driving impressions about the car? I know that you took it on a fairly long country trip this week. Performance, ride, handling, what do you think?
So one of the big thumbs up for this car, I suppose, and what I was quite interested in it was the long range capability. So taking it out on a long drive, I found this particularly good on the freeway. So really nice drive, long drive. The car sits really well on the road. There's actually a lot of rain. There's a lot, it wasn't a great day for driving, but it sat really comfortably on the road. Steering was sort of firm enough to keep it on the road. The acceleration, this is the mid-range one. You've got the higher powered one, but this one actually had more than enough to do good city driving, some really good acceleration when you wanted to overtake someone on country roads. So very impressed by sort of that working in all those scenarios.
Yeah, I know that the Kia engineers actually did an Australian tune for this car as well, and it's running. I looked at the information here. ZF6 selective damper control 3 shocks in it as well. So it's not adaptive or anything like that, but they have got some really sort of specific Australian tune, and I guess it comes through. I mean, you just mentioned that it took the freeway and the country roads pretty well. So.
Very impressed, yeah, absolutely.
But was it fun to drive?
No, I think it's very easy to drive. I think I'll say first, it's very quiet, it's very compliant. I don't think I get much of the sportiness of this car at all. I feel like it was just a really easy car to drive up the freeway.
Yeah, the more EVs that we are driving over the last couple of years, I guess, the common theme in them is that they're bloody heavy, aren't they, these things? This thing's 2 ton, and you can try and tune it, but it's never going to be nimble or anything like that. The steering, because it's electric steering too, to me, doesn't have an awful lot of feel.
Yeah, I think it needs a little bit more feedback. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. And that sort of leads on to something that I guess we had a chat about before. And look, it's nothing particular about this car. I mean, hey, great, Kia's done the tune. It does feel sporty, as much as you can make an EV to be sporty to drive. But I just kind of think that the advantages of an EV is that it's quiet. You don't have an engine and all that. Why don't you make these things just purely like luxury, like to take advantage of that quietness in the car? I don't think, people are going to hate me for this, I guess, so try your hardest, I suppose. Sporty cars have always been something that you get all the emotions in it. You get an engine noise, you get exhaust, you get that's the kind of sportiness I'm used to and I like about a car.
Yes.
With a car like this, you've only got some of those features in terms of just the handling and stuff. So why not take advantage of what this car's good at, and that's the quietness and the smoothness of the drivetrain and everything, and just stick to like it being.
Yeah, and I think
luxury.
I think to your point, I mean, this has got the Eco, Normal, and Sports mode drive modes in it. I was using the Eco mode. I wanted to get the range out of it to head out to the bush.
Yeah.
But then a couple of times I tried the Sport mode, and I really didn't find a need for it. I couldn't see why I would ever need it, because the power, was more than enough for city and country driving just in the Eco mode, to be honest, let alone even the Normal mode. So I'm not sure where the Sports mode really comes in and what the need for it is.
Yeah, no, and you mentioned before, mate, that you love the fact that an EV has a lot of linear low-down torque.
Love it.
Stuff like that. But my point being is, okay, if I want linear low-down torque all the time, I'll just go to the Easter show and drive a Dodgem car, I suppose.
Now you will get some hate.
Okay. I said I was a petrol head. Okay?
Yes.
Now, mate, give us your thoughts on range. You touched on that before. Now, this is an interesting one. You told me about this. Go.
Okay. So I was appealed to this car because of the range. So it'll get me out to the bush and back again in one charge. What I wasn't prepared for was it's not only long range, it's also long charge. So I was coming back into Sydney. It had done a great job of doing the kilometres that it said when it started the day. So it gave me 483 Ks and a full load. Mm-hmm. I'd done 400 and I still had about 70 left. So it was pretty accurate. And that was based on the Eco mode all day, just for reference. That was great, but here I am down to about 16% charge left or something, and then I started looking for a charging station. So this is an issue in Australia at the moment, is the availability of the infrastructure to recharge this thing. So the bigger the battery, the more time it's going to take to recharge in this case.
Well, Kia, let me just add something here. Kia, if you find a fast charger for this thing, Kia says it'll take 18 to 20 minutes to fully charge it. But did you find a fast charger?
I tried very hard to find a fast charger.
Did you find any charger?
The ones that were local to us, they weren't taking any new subscriptions at the moment, so you couldn't set up a new account. Then I found some slower chargers. I went to one of them. Someone was parked over the 2 bays for that charger, so I couldn't use it. Next one I went to was broken, and it wasn't listed on the app as broken. The next one I went to was great. It was a street one. Again, not a fast charger by any means. It was a 7 kilowatt one an hour, so it's going to take me 10 hours sitting in there. It has 1 hour parking, and the charger was on the left side, and I didn't have the cable long enough to get to the charging point on the right-hand side of the vehicle. So in the end, I had to take it home and charge it on a home 240 volt.
Yeah, I think I've said it before. Like, these things make a lot of sense. EVs, that if you've got the heavy duty charger at home built into your house, doesn't it? Like, if you're just plugging it in all the time, and with more people buying EVs as time goes on, like the infrastructure really needs to build up. It's nothing against the car. The car's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's infrastructure.
But that's the living with, right? We just have to be aware that is the living with. And I mean, we've been charging the car then for 2 or 3 days since, right, to try and get it back up to close to 100%. I've had cables running out of my garage at home to charge it overnight. Even when I was out in the bush, I put it on a charger while I was there, and I charged for 3 hours, and I got 6% back in the battery. So
that's not right,
it's pretty slow. So that's the living with challenge at the moment. I think, for this car.
It's convenience too, mate. Like, compared to dropping into the petrol station here, you're in and out in 5 minutes with a an ICE engine or something.
Yes. Yep.
You've got to weigh that up as to whether that's going to work with your lifestyle. So.
Yeah, and I think we've said quite a bit, right, that EV cars definitely as a second car, and running around the city and being able to charge overnight to regenerate the power back to full. If you can do that and you're in a sort of cadence that works for you, that works well. But I think we had the challenge with this long range one, trying to recharge back up to 100%. It was just taking too long. Yep, we'll need a fast charger at home.
Okay, mate. Let's touch on family friendliness, practicality, safety. What's your opinion on the driving position? Do you like it?
I do, yes. I think in terms of visibility and things in this driving the car, it's quite good, especially in the front seats. You've got quite a small window at the back, but it's big enough, I think, to see out, so no issues there at all. You've got a lot of space, and I mentioned earlier the bins and everything around, so many storage spaces. This whole piece in the middle that we've got here, quite easy to get to. I think the only one ergonomic thing I found a little bit was just reaching for the touchscreen, because it's such a large one. Just trying to reach for a few of the things, I had to really reach forward while I was driving along. So that's just a little bit out of range for me. The
augmented reality head-up display. What did you think of that? I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
actually.
I can normally leave the head-up display, but this one I actually found was really, really useful. The directions on there, the speed sign, and it's a bit clearer, and it's a bit I think it's a bit further out, so it's a little easier to focus on that and the road at the same time.
Yeah, it's not one that just pops up on your windscreen. It actually sort of floats out there, doesn't it?
So full marks for that. This is the best one I've experienced.
Mate, was it easy to park?
It is easy to park, yes. You've got the 360-degree cameras. I think it was really easy to park, actually. I think we commented this cabin feels really spacious inside, but driving the car, it doesn't feel like a big car.
No, it kind of shrinks around you, doesn't it? It's one of those cars.
And that sort of goes for parking as well. It just seems really easy. So, again, it's an easy car to drive. In terms of stereo, was great. Has some great features and capabilities on the info center. Apple CarPlay. It is cable wired in only, but it works really well. The whole system's really fast to work. I was quite impressed. I think it's not over-spec'd. I think it's about right for the price point of this car.
Okay. You sat in the back. What do you think?
Yeah, so the back has a significant amount of legroom, so it's really good for legroom. Due to the way the roof sort of slants down a little bit, though, I only had about an inch headroom. And then the windows on the side, you commented on this, start to get a little bit low to look out from. So
I think if you're a tall person, you're going to be sort of like a bit claustrophobic.
I not have mentioned it for a while, so I'm basically just on 6 foot, just over. So anything 6 foot and over, it probably starts to get a little tight.
It was fine for me.
Yep.
How about for the kids in the back? I think it's pretty good. Like there's vents on the side. You've got USB ports in the actual seats here, and that. Anything special for the kids, you think?
Yeah, I think for the kids in the back, there's plenty of space. Yeah, I think it's quite family friendly. We've also got the full PowerPoint in the back as well.
Yeah,
so
the bottom there, that's great.
yeah, so the kids have got all the options in terms of recharging all their devices and everything. So that was a bit of a bonus. Yeah, no, thumbs up. Quite a practical car.
What about the boot?
Yeah, I actually loaded quite a bit of stuff into the boot actually for my trip, and found it quite versatile with the seats coming down and space. I mean, there are cars with a little bit more boot space, but to me it probably satisfied the day-to-day needs of a family.
Okay, I'll just touch on safety, what the car has and everything.
Yes.
You'd expect for the price, it's pretty much got everything. It's a hamburger with a lot. Autonomous emergency braking with car, pedestrian, cyclist sort of assist there. It's got junction turning assist too. We mentioned that in some previous reviews as well. That's a good feature. Lane following assist, lane keep assist. It's got surround view monitor with the 3D mode on the camera and everything like that. That's pretty cool. You can move the car picture around and see what's around the car.
Yes.
Blind spot monitor as well in the dash, and parking collision avoidance assist in reverse as well. Now, mate, we touched a little bit on value for money. Now, I thought I'd have a look at like the people are looking at this. They might be looking at the Ioniq 5 as well, I suppose, aren't they? So
Yep.
it's the cousin to one of these. The Ioniq 5 recently changed to two models. There's a dynamic model at 69,900 and a Technique all-wheel drive model at 77,500. So their top of the range one is actually cheaper than this one. So Kia's top of the range one goes up to about 87.5 grand. So the one thing I thought about the Hyundai, and you do get it on the top of the range Technique one, is it has got better seats. They've got those sort of first class, business class seats, so when you're charging the car and the seat goes down, it's got things underneath your thighs that pop up as well. This one, it does fold down, but it doesn't, the seats aren't as good, I think. So but to be honest, like it's a pretty much a moot point, I suppose, because unfortunately you can't get these things. Like Kia's only had 500 units of this available for 2022 and they're all sold out, I think. Hyundai, I think, is pretty much the same. If you want to order one of these, you're probably looking into next year now or something. So
maybe people are getting a bit used to that because that is the lag we're seeing in a lot of cars.
Yeah.
But it's good to see what, may still be worth people doing a bit of investigation on what they're getting now and start planning for the next models, because they'll only get better. And as we said, with the charging infrastructure and stuff, we're maybe just a little early anyway to adopt this just yet, unless you've got the fast charger at home.
The warranty, Kia, one of the best, as we always say, 7 years, unlimited Ks. The battery has a 7-year, 150,000 K warranty on it. Servicing costs. It's not covered by Kia's normal cap price servicing plan, but there's a prepaid plan. $394 for 3 years, $1,089 for 5 years, and $1,584 for 7 years. So that's kind of cheap motoring, actually. I guess there's no engine to service and stuff like that, is there? So it's pretty much just your normal running brakes, stuff like that.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, mate. X Factor. Now, is this the kind of car that when you drive it, you're going to look at your reflection driving past shops and things like that, or look back at it when you park it? What do you think?
The exterior styling of this car has definitely got X factor for me. Even just looking at the brochure before we picked it up, and then every time I've jumped back into it, whatever setting I was in, whether it was in the city or in the bush, this thing's got great lines, lots of different great styling cues. So very impressed, and it's got X factor in spades.
Yeah, I think Kia's really, this styling is just, knocking it down the ballpark at the moment, isn't it? So, it's pretty good.
Very good.
Anyway, just want to put a big thanks out to our friends at Kia Australia for the loan of the EV6 this week. For an EV, it's really nice, this thing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's good. It is fun to drive because they have done suspension specifically as an Australian tune and things like that. Family friendly, yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Big car. just want to also say thanks to everybody for all the likes, the subscriptions, and the views and everything. And yeah, more to come.
Sounds good.
Okay.
It will be.
We'll see you later.
See you guys.